Hey guys, this is Coach Hardy. I'm looking here at page 110. I'm going to go through 5 problems with you just to kind of show you how to do them and guide you along. So here we go. We're going to do number 1 first. The first thing we need to look at is what is being done to the unknown number, which is x. So it's 1 1/4 is being added to x. Okay, so that tells me I need to do the inverse operation, which is subtract 1 1/4. Okay, I like to draw myself a little line down the middle to separate both sides of my equation. Remember, whatever I do on one side, I have to do to the other side. Okay, so 1 1/4 minus 1 1/4 cancels out. So on this side, I'm just left with x. Okay, so I've got to do 3 7/8 minus 1 1/4. So I'm going to go up here to the top of my paper and do this. I'm going to change these mixed numbers to improper. So let's change 3 7/8 to improper. So that would be 8 times 3, which is 24, plus 7, which is 31, over 8, because my denominator stays the same, minus, I have 4 times 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5. So that becomes 5/4. Now, I've got to get common denominators here. So I have 8 and 4, so I know my common denominator is going to be 8. Okay, 8 times 1 is 8, so 31 times 1 is just 31. 4 times 2 gives me 8, so 5 times 2 is going to give me 10. So now I can do 31 minus 10, which equals 21/8. And I'm going to change that back to a mixed number. And I know 8 goes into 21 2 times, and I'm left with 5/8. So x equals 2 5/8. Okay, now we're going to look at number 2. We have x minus 8 equals 4 3/100. 8 is being subtracted from the unknown number, so the inverse operation would be to add 8. Remember, I've got to do it to both sides. Now, remember, we've got to line our decimals up here. So that 8, I'm just making 8.00. Once again, this cancels out. I'm left with x, bring down my equal sign, and now I'm just going to add. Bring my decimal straight down, and I'm left with 12 3/100. I'm going to write that down here because that's kind of messy. 12 3/100. That would be my answer. Okay, we're going to go down to number 7. So number 7, okay, we have 7/10 x equals 42. Now, on this problem here, we have 7/10 is being multiplied by x. Okay, so we actually have to divide by 7/10. So to divide by 7/10, actually all we have to do is multiply by the reciprocal. So we can just take this 7/10 and multiply by 10/7 because that's the reciprocal. Okay, so then I'm just going to take 42 times 10/7 because I got to do the same thing to both sides. So if I actually multiply this out, it cancels, and I'm just left with x. Okay, and then I have 42. I'm going to put that over 1. So I'm multiplying these. 42 times 10 is going to give me 420. And 1 times 7 is going to give me 7. Now, 420 divided by 7 looks like a big number, but actually all I have to do is I know that 7 times 6 is 42. So my answer could just be 60. So x equals 60. Once again, I can always plug this back in for x to check my answers. All right, let's look at number 13. All right, I have n plus 7 over 10 equals 75 hundredths. When I look at this, if it were me, I would rewrite this problem to n plus, I would change 7/10 to a decimal. So I would make that 0.7 because that is 7/10 as a decimal. Okay. Now, what is being done to the unknown number? We're adding 7/10. So that tells me I have to subtract 7/10 to both sides. That cancels. I'm just left with n on this side. And now I'm just going to subtract. And I'm just left with n equals 5 hundredths. So I'm going to write my answer over here. Just like that. All right, I'm going to do one more with you. Let's look at number 21. Now, let's look. What is being done to the unknown number? Is being divided by 1.4. So that tells me that I've got to do the inverse operation, which would be to multiply by 1.4. So I'm going to multiply by 1.4 on both sides. This side cancels. I'm just left with y. And if I take 1.4 times 10, I get 140, but I've got that decimal, so I'm going to move it one decimal place. So I know y equals 14. All right, guys, that was just a couple of problems I just wanted to show you to guide you along and give you a little help. Let us know if you have questions.